Hello, my little forest fairies. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. As you may be able to tell from the title, today we are going to be discussing Fairy Amalka, or Villa Amalka, as I think it's pronounced in Czech. So I'm going to go episode by episode with you guys and summarize what happens in each one if you're not familiar. You may know the show. I know clips from it have gone viral on TikTok. I've seen pictures of it on Pinterest. It is such a beautiful show. I highly recommend watching it. I found the entire thing on YouTube. Episodes 1 through 5 and episode 7 have subtitles. But besides that, even when you can't understand the show, it's still so beautiful to watch, and I highly recommend it. So I will start. I will go episode by episode and explain everything that happens, or everything that happens to the best of my knowledge, as I don't speak Czech. So starting with episode 1, Amalka appears in the forest. A deer startles her and says she's scared of the deer that's trying to kill her. Amalka bewitches the hunter's gun and the deer is safe. In episode 2, Amalka leads a ram to a secret meadow after he lets her cross a bridge. The ram accidentally gets high on psychedelic flowers. After Amalka heals the ram, the moon falls from the sky and gets stuck in a pond. And because the moon is so cold from the sky, the pond freezes up. But the ram breaks the ice and drinks all the water and frees the moon. In episode 3, Amalka is picking flowers when she hears a magical stone underground making noise. And two people want this stone, an old lady who wants it to make herself beautiful and young, and a robber who wants it to make himself good and to stop stealing. They end up breaking it in half so they can have half the powers. Amalka realizes they're absolutely insane, bewitches a basket of berries to distract them, and then she fixes the stone, makes it whole, and then buries it back underground so that no one can have the powers from it. In episode 4, some roses beg Amalka to help them bloom, and she offers to bring them water. On her way to the lake, she helps a crayfish find the ribbon for his whiskers. While getting water, she's attacked by a vodnik, which is a Slavic water spirit. His name is Kebul, which translates to dumbhead, which I think is so funny. He wants Amalka to be his wife, and she says she can't go underwater since she's a forest fairy and can't be living in the water. She also calls him ugly, which I think is so iconic, but Kebul does not agree with my opinion and gets angry with her and puts her in a cage. The crayfish saves her and puts the vodnik in the cage instead, as he should. And then it rains and all the flowers are safe. In episode 5, a finch tells Amalka a bird flew out of the nest and didn't return. Amalka finds it stuck in a glue trap. Her hair gets caught in the trap when the wind blows. She turns herself into a bird as soon as the royal bird catcher comes by. The bird catcher takes both of them and takes them to the queen. The queen does not like the finch's singing voice. She says it's just a boring bird and any bird can sing like that, and she wants the Amalka bird to sing. And Amalka refuses because she's an icon and does not want to sing for this queen. And then the queen gets mad and sends them all to jail. Another bird brings a magic root while they're in the carriage going to the jail, and it sets them free before they can reach the prison. Moving on to episode 6, I did not have subtitles, so this is my best guess as to what happened in this episode. Amalka is riding on a deer when little goblins start yelling at her. She calls to the wind to carry her through the sky, and the goblin starts to make the deer really upset, and the deer starts to cry. The deer calls a king who almost shoots him, but Amalka distracts him by stealing his crown. The king finds the goblin and gives it to his horse. In episode 7, Amalka is dancing through a meadow to make sure all the plants can grow. She gets really upset with the nettle plant because it hits her and makes her cry. And when a fairy cries in this world, a river flows for all of eternity. And a girl who's cutting the grass nearby finds Amalka and feels really sad for her, because when she's cutting grass, she's putting the grass in a little basket, and then Amalka's tears sweep the basket away, and she runs up. She's like, where did this water come from? Like, what is going on? And she sees that Amalka's crying. She brings Amalka a twig of mint to make her feel better. The girl brings her grass clippings to her grandma's house, and the grandma gets mad at her for losing her basket, and she starts chasing the girl. Amalka jumps in and stops her and promises to get the basket back along with another reward. They retrieve the basket, but the grandma still wants this other reward. Amalka goes and picks flowers that make the grandma sneeze, and she sneezes so much she gets sent all the way back to the house, and she falls on the basket, and the basket's broken. Moving on to episode 8, from here on, there are no English subtitles that I could find, so this is my best guess as to what happens in these episodes. So in episode 8, the wind starts going wild and picks Amalka up and starts carrying her around the sky. He goes back to K-Buell, the creep from episode 4, and tells him to try to drown this random guy who lives by the water. K-Buell gets caught in a net, and Amalka takes a boat into the lake and frees souls that K-Buell has stolen and is now keeping in teacups, which sounds like a horrible way to spend your afterlife. K-Buell tries to kidnap Amalka again because he's just obsessed. And then the guy throws a teacup at K-Buell and he gets stuck underwater, and Amalka is again free. In episode 9, as a woodpecker tries to fix her shoe, she finds a giant stomping around the forest, causing earthquakes. She tries to teach him how to dance gracefully, but he just keeps causing earthquakes, like he can't help it. And he ends up stubbing his toe, and Amalka decides that he needs shoes. So she asks the woodpecker to make shoes for him. The woodpeckers make shoes for him out of tree stumps, and since the stumps are still in the ground, the giant is able to dance without causing earthquakes. In episode 10, Amalka is chatting with some hedgehogs, and one falls in a river. Amalka saves him with a ladder. They knock down a piece of fruit as a reward for her. One of them hurts their paw, and Amalka heals it with herbs and the moon's powers. And then the little hedgehog is all happy and safe. In episode 11, a bird leads Amalka to a volcano to save the giant from episode 9. She struggles to bring him water or any magical plants to save him. Amalka and the bird get help from another giant and ask him to stop making the earth shake by stomping around so that the volcano doesn't erupt. Now that the first giant is free, he comes to the house and the two giants fall in love, and they're so cute and they dance together. In episode 12, Amalka talks with some acorns and cracks one open to find an elf. And then this squirrel with these big buck teeth. He doesn't even look like a squirrel. This is the scariest squirrel I've ever seen. I have such personal beef with this squirrel. I wrote in my notes, a Bugs Bunny looking buck-toothed squirrel pulls up and starts stealing the acorns, kidnaps the elf, and forces him to be his servant. Amalka then gets rid of the fleas on a bear, and then they have a dance party together. The elf then sees them from a tree and goes to get their attention. The bear knocks him out of the tree, and Amalka catches him in her skirt, saving him. The bear also knocks the squirrel out of the tree and scares him away. And then in the end, this evil little squirrel gets fleas, so joke's on him. And then in the final episode, episode 13, Amalka sees some gnomes pulling a bag around the woods. They leave it alone in the forest, and a random guy just takes it, and the gnomes are really sad because they lost their little bag, and they go looking for it, and the guy who took the bag, his entire house freezes over because what is in the bag is actually just winter. And Amalka runs in and takes the bag out of the house, so then the bag is outside and it starts to snow. Amalka starts dancing and then disappears for the winter as it is no longer her responsibility to take care of the forest until next spring. I thought the show was so beautiful. I really love that in episode 11, the two giants appear to be masculine presenting and they fall in love, which is so beautiful to see in a show that was made in the early 70s. You don't really see a lot of representation like that in media now, let alone media back in the 1970s. In the seventh episode, there's a scene when the girl who's cutting the grass is talking to Amalka and blushes. I think it's so sweet. A lot of people on the internet have like shipped them together, which is so cute. And the show altogether is such a magical little beautifully made story that I absolutely love. I also love that there's no really difficult storyline. I feel like you could watch the episodes out of order and still kind of understand what's going on. I feel like Amalka is such a beautiful and light, airy show. I think it's important to watch media like that where there's happy endings and good things happen. I feel like just in general, whenever I watch something or just in real life, I feel like happy endings and happiness for the characters doesn't always happen. So I think it's so beautiful to get to see something where everything ends up well for the characters. Uh, and also just appreciation for nature. I think as a society, with climate change and everything, as time goes on, I feel like we lose more and more appreciation for nature and we lose appreciation for these animals. I think the show has good messages about greed as we see Amalka burying this stone so that no one can have it, no one can have too much power. And of course, gotta bring it up again. The best part was when the squirrel got fleas. So, if you're a little squirrel, watch your back because Amalka's coming for you. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I will see you in the next one. Bye!